The spark of silence, the planet Elion 3, was quiet. It was a small human colony far from Earth, where the sky was always purple and the wind smelled like sweet flowers. People here lived simple lives. No war, no danger. Just peace. In the middle of this calm world lived a little girl named Lena. She was 10 years old and full of curiosity. Her parents were scientists working at the research base near the forest. They studied plants and made medicine. Lena loved to explore the trees and chase the glowing bugs that came out at night. One morning, Lena stood outside her home, spinning in circles, her arms stretched like wings. She laughed as the wind rushed past her. Her mother watched from the porch, smiling. Her father packed his tools for the lab. "Don't go too far, Lena," her mother called. "I won't," Lena replied. She ran into the forest, chasing a butterfly that shimmered with blue light. The trees whispered as she moved through them. Birds flew from branch to branch above her. She didn't notice the humming sound at first. It was quiet, like a machine waking up. Then it got louder. The wind stopped. The birds vanished. Lena turned and looked up. Something was in the sky. A black ship, not like any human ship. It had no lights, no markings, just a dark shape blocking the sun. Small drones flew out from underneath it like angry insects. Lena screamed. Back at the base, alarms started to ring. Her parents ran to the control room. Screens blinked red. A signal was coming unknown origin. The security system failed. The cameras went dark. Outside, people ran. The sky filled with strange machines. The black ship hovered above the colony. It didn't speak. It didn't wait. It attacked. Flames rose as the lab exploded. People screamed. Lena's father ran into the fire, trying to save others. Her mother grabbed a cum device and shouted, "Mayday! This is Elion 3. We are under attack." The signal cut. Inside the forest, Lena tripped and fell. A drone hovered above her. It scanned her. A red light blinked. Then, without warning, it grabbed her with a mechanical arm and pulled her into the air. She cried for her parents, but no one answered. Minutes later, silence returned to the colony. Buildings were in ruins. Smoke climbed into the purple sky. The black ship vanished without a trace. Far away, deep in Earth's military command station, a young officer stared at the broken message from Elion 3. "Play it again," said Admiral Kyra, standing behind him. The officer clicked the button. Static filled the room. Then came the last words of Lena's mother, full of fear. Then the sound of a child screaming. Then nothing. Silence. Kyra didn't blink. She stared at the screen, her face like stone. Around her, the room stayed still. No one spoke. No one moved. "Who did this?" she asked, voice low. "No known enemy in that sector," the officer replied. "It doesn't match any pirate group." The attack was ... clean, cold, like a test. Kyra nodded slowly. Her eyes burned with something deep: rage, pain, and something more. She turned and walked out of the room. In her private office, she stood in front of a large window. Outside, Earth's fleet floated in the black sea of space. Ships built for peace. But they could bring fire. She remembered her own daughter, now grown. She remembered the fear of losing a child. The thought crushed her chest. Then she whispered, "Like a promise. They hurt a child. And think we'll stay silent?" She turned back, opened a secure channel, and spoke one word into the mic. "Awaken." Fire in the heart of humanity, Admiral Kyra stood in the war room, staring at the dark screen where Elion 3's signal had ended. Her hands were tight behind her back. She had seen war before, but this felt different. This wasn't a battlefield. Loss. This was a message. A warning. Or maybe a challenge. She didn't like challenges. A voice spoke behind her. "Admiral, Task Force Echo has arrived." She turned. Her face was calm, but her eyes held fire. "Bring them in." Minutes later, 5 people entered the room. Each one wore a black uniform, no medals, no names. They were ghosts. Soldiers who didn't exist on paper dot. At the front stood Captain Juno, a tall man with sharp eyes and a scar that ran down his cheek. He said nothing as he looked at the screen showing Elion 3's wreckage. "They took a child," Kyra said quietly. Her name was Lena. Juno didn't blink. "What's the plan?" Kyra stepped forward. "We don't make plans. We make statements." She tapped the table, and it lit up showing a star map with a blinking red system. "This is where they're. Signal last bounced. An unknown relay station, not in our database. We'll start there." Juno nodded. "Understood." Another soldier, a woman named Reese, looked at the screen. "Admiral, what if the girl is gone?" Kyra looked at her. "Then we burn the stars." The team left without another word. They had a ship waiting the Revenant, a stealth-class cruiser equipped with experimental tech. Silent, fast, and deadly. Perfect for Ghosts Dot as they launched into deep space. Earth's leaders argued in secret. Rooms. Some wanted to wait, to gather more proof. Others feared starting a war with an unknown enemy. But Kyra didn't wait. She knew the truth: sometimes peace must be protected by fire. While the Revenant traveled through the void, Lena was still alive. She lay in a cold glass cell, her body weak, her voice gone. Strange machines beeped around her. Tall creatures walked by without looking at her. They had gray skin, long arms, and no eyes, just sensors and tools attached to their heads. They never spoke. They only worked. One of them stopped beside her. It scanned her with a red light. Her skin flinched. A long needle came out. Lena closed her eyes. Back on the Revenant, Juno sat in the strategy room. A small photo was in his hand. A little girl. His own daughter, who died years ago. He looked at her smile for a moment, then slid the photo into his armor. Reese entered. "We're close." Hitting strange readings. Juno stood. Battle stations. The ship dropped out of warp near the unknown relay station. It floated in the middle of space like a dead insect. No lights, no signal. But it was not empty. "There's a ship docked," Reese said. "Design unknown. Looks ... old." Juno smiled slightly. "Let's wake it up." They launched silent drones to scan the area. What they found was chilling human DNA signatures. Inside the relay station. Faint, weak, but real. Juno's heart beat faster. "Prepare boarding crew." No noise, no mistakes. The team entered the dark station, moving like shadows. Inside, they found strange machines humming quietly. Alien tech mixed with old human parts. A lab, maybe. Or a prison. Then they found a room filled with glass tubes. Each. One had a child inside. Juno froze. "They've done this before," he said, voice low with fury. One of the tubes was empty. Reese looked at a small console. Data logs say one subject was moved to another facility. Coordinates are here. Juno didn't answer. He walked to the center of the room and crushed a control panel with his boot. Outside, the Revenant turned, powered up its weapons, and fired. The relay station exploded in silence. No sound in space, just light. The message was sent. Back on Earth, Admiral Kyra received the coordinates. She stared at them for a long time. Then she gave the order. "Tell the fleet, it's time." The hunt begins. The Revenant moved through deep space like a shadow in the dark. No lights, no sounds, just purpose. Inside, Captain Juno stood in front of a hologram, showing the alien coordinates they had found. The system had no name. It was in a part of the galaxy no one visited, a dead zone. No traffic, no life, no reason to go unless you were hiding something. Juno tapped the screen. This is where they took her, he said. Reese stepped forward. We don't know what we'll find. Juno looked at her. I don't care. We find the girl, and we find the ones who took her. The ship jumped into warp. Far away, Lena sat alone in another glass cell. Her arms were covered in small scars, and her eyes looked tired, but not broken. She held a small piece of cloth close to her chest. It was part of her old dress, the only thing they didn't take. Outside her cell, the aliens worked. These were not warriors. They were scientists, but their hearts were colder than soldiers. They called themselves the Zeroth. No emotions. Number. Names. Only function. One of them entered the room. It had a long head, metal arms, and wires hanging from its spine. It stared at Lena through the glass. Subject 17 is adapting, it said in a robotic voice. Another voice replied through a speaker. Begin next phase. The glass filled with gas. Lena tried not to scream. The Revenant dropped out of warp near the dark system. 3 dead planets floated around a dying sun. In the shadow of a gas giant was a massive black station hidden. From scanners, wrapped in old metal and silence, Reese scanned it. No signal. No defense grid, but something's alive in there. Juno gave the order. Prepare to breach. They launched a silent pod with a team of 5 Juno, Reese, and 3 other operatives. It latched onto the station's hull and cut through. Inside was cold, dark metal. The air was thin. The lights flickered, and something felt wrong. They moved through narrow corridors, weapons ready. They found rooms with broken machines, cells with bones, human bones, experiments, torture, silence. Then they heard it, a soft sound. A heartbeat. Juno pointed ahead. There. They opened the door. Lena was inside. She didn't move when the light hit her. She just stared. Her eyes were wide, full of fear, but when she saw Juno's face, something changed. She whispered, Are you ... real? Juno knelt. Yes, we're here to take you home. Tears ran down her face, but there was no time. An alarm blared. The Zeroth had noticed. Doors locked. Lights turned red. Mechanical guards activated machines with sharp legs and glowing eyes. Juno grabbed Lena and shouted, Fall back. Reese covered their retreat, shooting the first drone in the head. Sparks flew. The others came fast. But the team moved faster. They reached the pod and launched just as the station's weapons woke up. Lasers fired, but the Revenant moved in and blocked the shots with its shield. Inside the ship, medics took Lena. She was weak, but alive. Reese looked at Juno. What now? Juno didn't answer right away. He looked at Lena, then at the stars beyond. They think this is over, he said. They think we'll run. He turned toward the bridge. They don't know humans. He sent a coded message to Earth. Target located. Hostile confirmed. Prepare the fleet. On Earth, Admiral Kyra read the message and closed her eyes. She stood up, walked to the center of the war room, and said in a calm, steady voice, Alert all battle groups. This is not a rescue anymore. This is war. Beyond. Morality Lena lay quietly on the medical bed aboard the Revenant. Machines monitored her heartbeat. Her body was weak, but her spirit was not broken. She didn't speak much. Only her eyes told the story, one of fear, pain, And confusion. Captain Juno stood beside her, arms crossed, eyes locked on the glass window between them. She's not just a victim, the medic said. They changed something in her, physically, genetically, like they were testing something. Juno's jaw tightened. What were they trying to make? No one had an answer. Admiral Kyra received a full report back on Earth. She stood in silence as she read it. Unknown alien species, advanced biogenetic labs, human children used as test subjects. Her voice was calm, but each word felt like a blade. They didn't kill them. They studied them. And they're still doing it. She opened a new secure channel. To all fleet commanders, prepare for Operation Black Flame. No negotiations, no delays. We end this. Meanwhile, on the edge of the galaxy, the Zeroth Dominion received the first human warning, the Revenants. Attack on their secret lab, but the aliens didn't panic. They were not emotional creatures. They had no fear to them. Humans were just another subject. Inside their main research facility, a massive station buried deep inside a dying star's orbit, Zeroth leaders observed data collected from Lena. This one survived Phase 5. A voice said through a robotic speaker. She resisted neural rewriting. Another answered. Fascinating. Human minds are elastic. On a screen, Lena's brain scan glowed with patterns the Zeroth couldn't understand. Emotion, memory, imagination. These things confused them. They didn't believe in love, or pain, or revenge. That was their greatest mistake. The Revenant reached the edge of the target system coordinates, pulled from the alien station's memory core. The place was strange. The star was dying, wrapped in thick radiation clouds. Normal ships couldn't survive here, but the Revenant wasn't normal. Inside the strategy room, Juno and his team stared at the hologram of the facility. It's big, Reese said. Bigger than we thought. Good, Juno replied. More to destroy. Suddenly, Lena entered the room. She was pale, but awake. Her voice was soft. They kept talking about something. A final stage. A mind seed. Juno knelt beside her. Do you know what it means? She nodded slowly. They wanted to plant something. Inside me? Then send me back to Earth. The room went silent. Reese looked shocked. A biological weapon? No, Juno whispered. Worse, a psychic one. They finally understood Zeroth didn't just want to harm humans. They wanted to break them. From the inside, the attack began. The Revenant powered up its weapons and launched its stealth drones. They moved like ghosts through radiation clouds, slipping past sensors, napping the facility. What they found was terrifying. Thousands of tests. Chambers, hundreds of species, all silent. All broken and in the center, the mind core. A massive organic machine, half alive, pulsing with energy. It wasn't just collecting data. It was learning. Juno gave the order. Target the core. All weapons, no mercy. As the human ship prepared to fire, the Zeroth finally spoke. A message echoed through space, not in words, but in thoughts. You fear us because we are pure. You feel pain. We do not. That is why we will survive. Juno replied out loud, voice cold and steady. You don't understand humans. He tapped the screen. All weapons fire. The lasers cut through the radiation and hit the core directly. The machine screamed, not with sound, but with thought. Pain echoed across space. As the facility cracked open, then the mind core exploded, sending shockwaves through the system. The light was blinding. The silence that followed was deeper than space itself. Inside the Revenant, Lena stood at the window, eyes wide. For the first time, she smiled. They're gone, she whispered. But Juno wasn't smiling. This was just one hive, he said. What if there are more? Reese stepped beside him. Then we hunt every last one. He looked at Earth's rising signal fleet after fleet ready to launch. Let's bring them fire. We bring the fire. The sky above Earth turned red with engines dot from every military station. Every orbiting dock, the ships of humanity rose together. Massive carriers, silent destroyers, stealth frigates all ready. All burning with one purpose. Justice. Inside. The main flagship Solar Wrath, Admiral Kyra, stood at the front window. She watched her fleet gather like a rising storm. She spoke calmly into the calm. This is not just a battle. This is a warning. To anyone who hurts our children, we will find you, and we will burn everything you hide behind. Her voice echoed across every human ship. Deep in the galaxy, the Zeroth Dominion felt a shift. Their sensors detected hundreds of human warships moving through space like a wave of fire. No attempt to hide. No warning signals, just movement fast and direct. The Zeroth leaders gathered inside their dark hive. Humanity has chosen war. One of them said. Another replied, they are weak. Emotion clouds their logic. But the younger units, the fresh minds, trembled. They destroyed the mind core, one whispered. They did not fear it. They hated it. Still, the decision was made. Activate all defenses. Prepare for extinction level. Resistance. The Revenant arrived first. Captain Juno and his team guided the fleet from the front, scanning the outer systems for traps. But the Zeroth didn't hide now. They were ready too. Dozens of alien ships emerged from the darkness long. Sharp vessels with black energy cores. Machines built not for defense, but for pain. The first strike hit hard. The Solar Wrath shook as Zeroth. Plasma cannons burned through the void, but humans didn't back down. They charged. Missiles flew. Cannons roared. Fighter ships danced between. Fire and metal. The stars themselves seemed to tremble from the violence. Juno's voice came through the comms. No retreat. We hold the line. Reese led her squadron through the enemy wall, blasting their engines with precision strikes. One by one, the black ships fell. The Zeroth tried to adapt, but they couldn't understand this kind of rage. They had studied the human body, the human brain, but they had never understood the human heart. On the surface of the Zeroth's central world, a new horror waited, a weapon the aliens had built in secret. It was not made of steel. It was alive, a creature born from thousands of stolen minds. Tall, thin, eyes glowing with blue fire. It spoke in many voices at once. I am the final phase. I am your evolution. The humans dropped from orbit in pods, landing hard. Juno stepped out of his pod with his squad beside him. He saw the creature and didn't blink. You're just a mistake, he said coldly. And we're here to correct it. The battle began. It wasn't clean. The creature moved. Fast, with power no human had seen before. It twisted metal, burned ground, and tried to reach Lena, who had arrived to stand with them. Against her past, Lena didn't run. She walked forward, her voice calm. You took my parents. The creature paused. You tried to turn me into a weapon. It tilted its head. Lena's eyes burned not with fear, but with fire. You failed. She pressed a button. A charge planted on the planet's core exploded. The ground cracked. The Zeroth's final lab collapsed from within. Juno grabbed her and ran as the team escaped into a transport from orbit. Admiral Kyra watched the planet break apart. She gave the final order. No survivors. The fleet opened fire. The Zeroth Dominion died under a storm of human light. Silence returned. In the afterglow of destruction, Earth's fleet gathered. Broken, tired but victorious. Juno sat beside Lena inside the Revenant. She was safe now. Her eyes looked out the window, watching the stars. They won't come back, she said softly. No, Juno replied. But if they do, we'll be waiting. On Earth, a memorial stood in the center of the capital. A small statue of a girl holding a flower, looking at the stars. The words below read, They hurt one innocent soul, and humanity answered with fire. Asterisk, the price of peace weeks had passed. Since the fall of the Zeroth Dominion, the galaxy, once cold and quiet, now whispered of what humanity had done. News traveled fast. A race hurt one child, and paid with their empire. But Earth was not celebrating. The war had cost lives, resources, and innocence. Inside the council chamber, Admiral Kyra stood before the world leaders. Behind her were holoscreens showing broken planets, destroyed ships, and long lists of names. She spoke slowly. We did not seek war. We answered a cry for help, not with speeches, but with fire. Some in the chamber nodded. Others stayed, silent. A leader from Mars asked, What now, Admiral? Will we keep fighting? Keep burning every enemy? Kara looked him in the eye. No, she replied. We will protect. We will remember. And we will never let silence hide cruelty again. Lena walked through a quiet garden in New Geneva. Trees swayed in the wind. The sky was bright. The birds real, not drones. She was healing. Doctor said she was stable, but the scans still showed something strange. The aliens had changed her, yes, but not in the way they wanted. They had tried to break her mind. Instead, they had made her stronger. Her thoughts were sharper, her memory clear. And sometimes, when she touched certain things, she just knew. Juno sat on a bench nearby, watching her with quiet care. He had chosen not to return to the front. He had seen enough war. Lena sat beside him. They wanted to turn me into a weapon, she said. He nodded. And now? I want to be a shield. He looked at her, surprised. I want to help others. Stop it from happening again. Juno smiled. You'll do more than that, kid. A few days later, Lena stood before the newly formed Galactic Child Protection Council, a gathering of species from across allied worlds. She wore a simple white coat. Her voice was soft but firm. No one cared when Elion 3 went silent. Not the neighbors. Not the councils. Not even the sky. She paused. One innocent soul was lost. That was all it took. We answered with fire, but we should have answered sooner. Her words were broadcast across systems. For the first time, thousands of alien races listened to a human child and believed her. Laws were passed. Borders redrawn. Experiments on sentient minors were banned across all allied regions. Not because of soldiers, because of one girl's voice. Back on Earth, Admiral Kyra visited the statue in the Capitol Square. She placed a single white rose at its base. Juno stood beside her. "She's more than we ever expected," he said. Kira nodded. "She reminded the galaxy who we are." He looked up at the statue of the little girl looking at the stars. "Do you think it's over?" Kara answered softly, "For now." Then she looked at the sky. "But if they come again?" She didn't need to finish. They both knew. Humanity would answer. Asterisk.